Okay.
So welcome everyone. We are here for the BNB STARS Masterclass, and we're expecting maybe one or two other people, but I just wanted each person to share briefly a little bit about yourself, maybe 30 seconds about yourself. And Tanya, your face is on, so we'll start with you.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Tanya Johnson-Moore, and to share a little bit about myself, I just finished my 20th year of teaching in the school district of Philadelphia. And I also help my husband. We own a business for a restoration company, and I'm also a beauty consultant. So that's a few about me in 30 seconds.
I love it. And as I said, Tanya was in my second grade class.
Yes, and I still remember her and hold her to my heart to this day.
Yes. Okay. Anyone else who wants to share, we would love to hear from you. Hold on one second. Let me admit one other person. Dr. Clark, do you want to share?
Pam, I love it. I love it when you call me by my by my professional name. Anyway, Pam and I are sorors, and
we can't see you.
No, I'm not feeling
Okay.
so today.
I got you. Okay.
My locks are all twisted the way they should.
Okay.
Okay. So so Pam and I's daughters were best friends in high school, and then college and life just comes apart, and they're not as close as they used to be, but like it's a friendship and a family connection that I'll always cherish. So Pam is, wonderfully independent, entrepreneurial. So when she told me about the Airbnb opportunities, we have a shore home, which has just been a family home, but I know what those rents are like. So it is possible that, we can supplement our income if we decide to go the route of Airbnb for one of our vacation properties. So I'm interested in tonight. Thanks for the invitation, Pam.
Absolutely. We're glad you're here. Thank you. Sharonica, do you want to share? I'm kind of going in order of who I see on the screen.
Okay. Hello. I'm trying to get my video. I'm sorry, my video is not turning on.
It's okay. That's all right. Just share a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to get started after Tracy and Cassandra share. Okay.
So my name is Sharonica. I was invited by Tanya. That's my cousin. I recently just got laid off from my job back in August in 2021, and decided to go the entrepreneurial route. I just started my own custom apparel business called the DIY Godmother. So I'm always looking for other avenues and ways to bring in streams of income. So this was something I was really interested in. So I thank you for the invite.
And thank you for jumping on. Thank you for sharing. And soror Tracy.
Hi, everyone. I am Tracy Nicholson. Pam and I were line sisters back in many years ago at Hampton University. And so I'm glad to be invited to the masterclass. And I have a family home that I'm considering using as an Airbnb. So I'm glad to meet everyone.
Thank you. And Tracy lives in Richmond.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Cassandra. If you're talking, you're on mute. We can't hear you.
I was trying to get it on.
Okay.
So Pam and I graduated from Germantown High School back in Philadelphia a long time ago. And it's nice how Facebook allows us to connect again. And it's something about the Airbnb business I've always had my eye on. And when I saw that you was giving a master class, it's like, okay, this is somebody I can trust. I just didn't want to get in on it, with anybody, because they can tell you anything, but I truly trust Pam. So that's why I'm here.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're all here. And I think there were a few other people trying to get in. I did click on yes, but if there's anybody that I missed, just go ahead and jump in. If not, we're going to get started. Hold on, let me share my screen. Hold on one second, everyone. Okay. Okay. Can everyone see? Oh, wait a minute. I just admitted someone. Whoever just came on, welcome. Anastasia, welcome. Can everyone see my screen? Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you are here in this master class, and many of you have probably seen things that I posted. And basically, we're going to be talking about how to free up your time and increase your income as a short-term rental host. And this can happen even if you're working a 9-to-5, because I think everyone except for maybe Sharonica, who says she just started a business, everyone here is probably working a 9-to-5. And many people here have never owned or managed rental property, but that's okay. You can make money as a short-term rental host. We're going to talk about it. So in this masterclass, here are some of the things we're going to cover, because it's only 1 hour. So those of us who are on here that are teachers, you know, we're very structured. So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover current trends that impact today's hosts. And these are things that a lot of times people don't know, but I'm always saying on top of what's happening so that I can be well-informed, as well as sharing with others. We're going to talk about hosting by either owning or leasing or both. We're going to talk about how you can save time through automation. We're going to talk about the method that I created called BNB STARS and how you can earn income using this method. And at the very end, if you would like to be able to work with me further, I'm going to talk about how I can support you on your journey. And so I'm going to ask a question, and anybody who just wants to briefly share, I want to find out if you've ever stayed in like an Airbnb or Vrbo, which is vacation rental by owner, or even on booking.com. A lot of times you can not just book a hotel, but you can also book a room or a house on booking.com. So has anyone ever stayed in any of these? And if so, maybe one person share your experience real briefly.
I stayed at Airbnb in different states, and I've stayed in Airbnb in England. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed each stay that I had. I've never had any problems, and the hosts were very delightful. I've even rented an Airbnb here in the city of Rock Hill, where I live. And I did it because I had grandchildren, and I wanted to take them away from I live with my mom. So because my father passed away. And so I wanted them to have a nice experience of having, you know, our own place together. Because I used to live in Newport News, Virginia. That's where I raised my children. And when I sold my house and came to South Carolina. But other states I've been in Airbnb is in Texas, Virginia, and I've been in one in Georgia.
That's awesome.
And a couple here, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing, Cassandra. And it's great that you've had great experiences. And I know there are probably others who have stayed in short-term rentals or as Airbnb or Vrbo, but many of us have never really thought about the fact that it is a $1.2 trillion industry, and that's worldwide. And so all of us that are here, we can all get a piece of that $1.2 trillion. And this came from AirDNA. AirDNA is an organization that does a lot of research, and so whenever I'm quoting something, I'm going to tell you the source of it. So here are some of the trends for 2022, and I'm getting some of these trends from there's an organization called HostAway. And so one of the trends is the Great Escape. There are a lot of people who are choosing to do short-term rentals like in a rural location, explore the outdoors, and even glamping is becoming very trendy. And some people may feel, oh, you know, only certain people do that sort of thing, but no. Oh, wait a minute, somebody else is coming. Let me admit, hold on one second, someone else is coming in. Okay, some people may feel, oh, only certain types of people do this. No, all races, all backgrounds are doing more rural or ski resort or, you know, by the beach or the lake. And like I said, glamping is like a high-end camping. And you can see on the right, I show a picture of what it might look like if you're doing glamping. The other thing is there's the rise of bleisure, which is a combination of business and leisure. And many of us during the pandemic, even those of us that teach, I was teaching online. Many people were at home, and some of those people have decided, I am never going back to work in an office or in a school or wherever they were working. So they're beginning to combine travel with their, with their business. And it means that more people are staying longer. So, there might be someone who worked in an office and maybe they're traveling someplace and they might stay for 5 days. They have their laptop and they can still do their work. So there's a rise of bleisure and longer stays. Here's something else that's happening. Hold on. There's a major shift on the Airbnb platform. So in the past, Airbnb has pretty much always had the same type of platform where you would go in and you would put in, wait a minute, sorry, admitting one more person. If you're just coming in, welcome to you. I can't really see you because I'm doing the PowerPoint, but welcome. And so for many years, Airbnb has pretty much had the same platform where you will put in where you wanted to go and, put in how many people you were going to travel with and that sort of thing. But now Airbnb has shifted their platform. So I don't know if you've looked at it recently, but when you go in now, they have 56 categories that emphasize unique stays. So they even have a category for the Arctic, the beach, vineyards. They have one for creative spaces. So for example, say there's someone who plays a piano, and maybe when they go stay at this location, they want a place that has a piano. So if you're just coming in, can you please just mute yourself? Can you mute your line? Otherwise, I'll mute everyone. Hold on. Okay. No, I have to mute everyone. Okay. Thank you so much. Let me go back. Sorry. No, I didn't. Hold on, everyone. I just have to get in so I can mute people because. Hold on. I'm gonna have to stop sharing, guys. Sorry. Because everyone is not muted. Okay. All right. Now everyone's muted. All right, 1 second, guys. Okay, can you see my screen again? Do you have somebody do a thumbs up?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Let me go back. Hold on. Okay, so as I was saying, all of these different categories has shifted the way you go in and you view an Airbnb. And as I was talking about a creative space, someone may play the piano, or they may be, they want to record. And so in the creative space that they rent for Airbnb, maybe there's a recording studio or there's a piano or whatever. And also split stays is something different. So say if you're going to say Florida, and you want to spend part of your time in Orlando and the other part of your time in Miami. Now there's something called a split stay, whereby Airbnb will help you to piece together a stay and have one cost, but you're staying in 2 different locations. That's good for Airbnb, but it also has implications for us, those of us who are hosts, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. Here's another trend. So in the past with Airbnb, Airbnb first got started with these 3 guys who couldn't pay their rent in San Francisco. And they decided, hey, if we charge someone and let them rent an air mattress or 2 in our place, it can help pay the rent. And thereby Airbnb first started. And so in the beginning, it was just like people renting spaces out of their homes, and it got larger and larger. There are people who rent, like we have 10 short-term rentals. There are people who have 20, 30, but now larger investors have started to get into short-term rentals. So I have a few here. There's one called Landing. There's one called Sounder, Casago. There's one called Corporate Housing. And some of these there are like Costco, I think you can actually buy into a franchise. That also has implications for us because these are our competitors and they have larger pockets. They have deeper pockets than we do. Here's one other thing. There are so many places where you used to be able to just host, and there might have been a few guidelines, but now there are so many cities like Atlanta, where we live, like Philly, where I'm from, where we have you know, short-term rentals. And those areas have begun to really put the squeeze on short-term rental hosts. So here are some of the things that they've done. And I got this out of where it says global perspective on short-term rental regulations. So sometimes there's a restriction on either people can stay for less than 30 days, or you have to make it so they stay for more than 30 days. Some places now you have to have a license, whereas before you did not. In some communities now, like if it's an HOA community, they're restricting what you can do, and it's in writing. Before it might have been unspoken, now they're putting it in writing. And also location. So some short-term rentals are restricted because they're not in a certain type of zone, like commercial or mixed use. Again, I'm bringing all these things up because as you're going into this and considering short-term rental hosting, these are things you need to be aware of. And so every location has different things going on. Some locations don't have regulations, others do. So here's some questions you may have. You may be saying to yourself, I'm interested, but is this a good time to get in? And you might hear about other people making money in short-term rentals, and you're thinking, maybe I should hop on this, but I'm not sure, and I don't know how to start. Well, I have a question for you. Imagine, just imagine, even in your own home, you might have a spare room, you might have a spare bedroom, you might have a rec room, a guest room. Imagine you were able to host guests using a spare room in your home, or you might have a rental property, like Dr. Clark, she has a house at the shore, you know, or like Tracy, Sora Tracy, she has a house that maybe she grew up in, and now, you know, she may be able to make money from that. Or there's some people like Cassandra who may be thinking about, I don't want to do it in a house that I own. Maybe I want to do arbitrage, which is actually renting or leasing someone else's property and doing short-term rentals in there. All of that is possible. Imagine if you were able to learn how to automate your short-term rental business so you could save yourself precious time. And imagine if you had a proven system that shows you how to start earning money from your short-term rentals in your first 60 to 90 days. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our journey. On the left-hand side, this is our home in the Atlanta area. We have 2 short-term rentals in our home. And sometimes people say, how is that working? It's working really well. Guess what? I was able to stop working as a teacher, and I love being an educator, but because this helps to pay our mortgage and more than pays our mortgage, I was able to walk away from my teaching job. And also we have 8 short-term rentals in this property. It's someone else's property in Philadelphia. It's a brand new property right on Ridge Avenue. So we're actually leasing someone else's property. So it's 10 altogether. So here's how we started. We have been investors and had real estate for a number of years, but we just started with short-term rentals back in November. When we first started, we just started with 1 room in our home. And when we first started in November, the first 5 days, we made $1,300. In December, we opened the second room in our home, and we also opened those 8 short-term rentals in Philly. So we went from 1,000 to like 8,600 in December. In January, we reached 12,000, almost 13,000. So in our first 57 days, we brought in $22,000. And at that point, that's when I'm like, I don't know if I want to keep teaching. February, we brought in 14,000, March, 15,000, April, 16,000. So it's just growing. And so within the first 5 months of opening all 10 units, we went from 8,000 and we doubled to like almost 17,000. So when you're thinking about success in short-term rentals, it's not just your revenue, because your revenue is going to be impacted heavily by your reviews and your ratings. So I just kind of screenshotted some of the ratings. This is someone who just stayed with us here in our home. She's actually from Hampton, Virginia. So she just did this you know, she just talked about how she enjoyed being here. And then I screenshotted some others that people said, you know, had a great stay, very clean and spacious. Chuck and Pam are good hosts, they're friendly and so forth. So reviews is important because reviews actually is like the lifeblood of being a short-term rental host. And a lot of it is not so much you know, being a landlord, because people only staying with you for a short period of time. It's more about hospitality. It's more about presentation and how you treat your guests. Ratings. So in order to be a top host or super host, you have to have at least a 4.8 or above. The total is five stars. So consistently we've had 4.8 and above, and that's awesome. And then the revenue, again, over a 5-month period of time, $72,000. So the purpose of this class is to kind of share with you how you can get your short-term rental business off the ground. I'm going to share with you a few things about how you can save time through automation. And then at the end, I'll explain, if you want to work alongside of me, how you can be in a community of other aspiring hosts and become profitable. So why should you listen to what I have to say, especially because I've done a lot of things right and wrong. So today I'm gonna give you the tea. Some of you may know, some may not, but these are my parents on the left-hand side. This is me in their arms. They started a school called Ivy Leaf School, and that's me like circled over there. My dad, I'm standing next to my dad. My mom is reaching down, shaking a little girl's hand. So they started a school with 17 students and 17 students and 2 teachers, and eventually grew to one of the largest independent schools in the nation. So they were edupreneurs, the educators, entrepreneurs, and I took my cues from them. Very innovative. They were in Philadelphia. It's very hard, especially at that time, to find a plot of land to build. But I just remember in 2nd grade, they said, we're going to build a house. And I just showed some pictures of how that process, you know, went. And I just remember standing in the middle of bricks. I'm like, this is going to be our house. And it became our house. So very innovative. They were featured in, you know, different publications. This is me on the right at Hampton University as a freshman. When I was 22, I always loved real estate. So I bought my first property, and you see it on the left-hand side. It was near Drexel University. I bought it a good price, but the interest rates in 1986 were crazy. Like now people are complaining about 5%, but back then it was like 12%, literally. And so because the interest rate was so high, I never really made money. Also at 22, I didn't know how to manage the property. I lost money because contractors looked at how young I was. They took advantage of me. And I also didn't know how to screen for good tenants. So I had a lot of problems, and I saw it at a loss. I got married to my husband. He was more successful in real estate than I was. And then we began, you know, buying more over time. We had 2 sons and a daughter. I always like to show that picture of Rosa Parks on the left-hand side. But yeah, we raised our kids to be entrepreneurs. And over the years, I've worked with all ages. So this is me on the left as a professor at Eastern University. And then I eventually opened a business that trains other professionals. It trained teachers and administrators and so forth. And I enjoyed that. And again, we've always been involved in real estate and entrepreneurship. And on the right, this is our family, you know, and my mom. So that's a little bit about me. And now you probably been wondering, how can I earn extra money in my spare time? You might be wondering, are short-term rentals even possible in my market? Can I really make this work? And is it possible to become a host if I don't own property? Where do I turn to for answers? And so I developed a system called BNB STARS. As a teacher, I think having things to be very simple and relatable and things you can remember helps people. So the acronym STARS stands for something. So in the course that I wrote, the first 2 weeks, the first week we talk about how to search for your property, and the second week we talk about how to set it up. Team, automate, respond, succeed. All of these are things that we look at in this course. So you can use your own property or someone else's property. You can set up much quicker and easier when you have a template to follow. Using the team approach can help you to succeed. Knowing how to automate is going to save you time, make things easier. When you respond to your guests, you can earn high ratings and reviews, and that also leads to high revenue. And finally, by duplicating a system and staying informed about current trends, you will succeed. So the first thing we're going to talk about is search. We're not going to be able to go into depth with all of that because this is just, 1 hour, but I'm just sharing with you some of the concepts that can help. So we already talked about searching regulations. So even before you start to set up anything for a short-term rental, you want to know what the regulations are in your area, in Richmond, in South Carolina, in Philly, in, I don't know where everyone else is, or in New Jersey, where your shore home is. You want to know what the regulations are for that county or for that city. You want to know. So once you know your location, you can start in your own place or someone else's place. And these are the 2 bedrooms here at our home where we have short-term rentals. They were just regular bedrooms. And we looked at it, and we're empty nesters. We got a 5-bedroom house, and we're like, we can make money from this. So these rooms pay our mortgage with money to spare. We've had some people to come in and stay for long-term. We had an anesthesiologist. She had to do her rotations at 2 hospitals. She and her boyfriend stayed with us for 3 months. Another gentleman was moving into the area, and he was going back and forth to work not far from where we lived, and he's from North Carolina. He stayed with us 3 months. In one of the other bedrooms, we've had more really short term, like maybe a week or a few days, but altogether it's making money. There's also something called furnish finders. So Airbnb is not the only game in town. There's something called furnish finders, and we also use that. Furnish finders is a place where mainly medical professionals, but also just people looking for a home, they can come on, and you as the host would put all of your information, your pictures about your home and so forth, or it doesn't have to be your home, it could be an apartment or whatever. And then people are looking for a home. And so this kind of matches them up. You kind of, they might reach out to you directly, or you might see this is what they're looking for, you reach out to them. So this is another way that you can actually match up and have long-term guests. So a lot of these people, they stay for a month or 2 or 3. If it's a traveling nurse, they may have a 6-month assignment. So this is another way, again, that you can earn money. What is rental arbitrage? Some people on this webinar, you're wondering, how can I do short-term rentals without actually owning? So this is what we did. There was a brand new building. The owner, he happens to be Asian. He was looking for, actually he was looking for someone to do short-term rentals. We found out about it, and we did a corporate lease. So we took over the entire building, and each room is totally different. So we have a different look for each building. And so that's called rental arbitrage. So we're leasing the building, and we are, we have the short-term rentals. Each one is a totally separate unit. So we pay him a certain amount per month for the entire building. And then, we're making money off of each one of those 8 units. And it's possible to do that. I wouldn't suggest starting with 8, but if you want to do that with 1, it is possible to do that. And that's called corporate leasing. In the course, we talk about some things you need to be aware of in terms of, having an LLC and so forth, not doing it in your name. We talk about those things. So if you were thinking about, some people, like in the course that that just finished, some people were thinking about purchasing a short-term rental. Others were thinking about renting. So what I always suggest is you pick an area. So you don't try to pick a whole city. You pick a zip code. So my friend Tracy is in Richmond. I know she already has her, the house she's thinking about, but I picked one zip code, and I said I wanted it to be close to VCU. And so then when I got to that zip code, then I said, how many of these are going to be, I wanted to look for places that weren't that expensive, because remember, you're not only are you paying the rent, but you're also paying the utilities, the Wi-Fi, and all that. So if you're paying something like $1,800 or $2,000, you're eating away at your profit. So you want to look at something that's going to be, especially when you're first starting, that's going to be reasonable. So I found 4 different properties. And there's a whole approach to how you would approach a potential landlord or owner. And the approach is going to be different based on whether or not it's an individual or if it's a large conglomerate. The approach will be different. But you would start by just keying in on one particular zip code. And you also, after you kind of look at that zip code that you're interested in, then you would go into Airbnb and kind of see what else is going on in that zip code. So again, in the course, we talk about that. Where else can you look? You can look on Facebook Marketplace. So on Facebook Marketplace, there's so many things that people are selling. They're selling cars, they're selling homes, they're renting homes, they're selling furniture and clothing. So on Facebook Marketplace, there are people who are trying to rent a home. So I found one. Now, of course, this is Jonesboro, Georgia. So it's a whole house, it's small, but I'm like, man, if I wanted a house in Jonesboro, Georgia to rent, this is only $1,000 a month. This is doable. So Facebook Marketplace is another place. Zillow. You can also look for Zillow. Again, you're looking for a specific location, and you're looking for something that's going to be manageable. So, I mean, some people go all out. They're going to get a 2 or 3 bedroom. I would suggest, even when you first start, you know, maybe a studio or 1 bedroom, or if it is a 2 bedroom, that it's going to be under a certain price point, so you can make sure that you're going to earn income. So in other words, you can become a short-term rental host either at your place or something that you own. It doesn't have to be your house, but something that you own, or you can rent someone else's place. Another question you may have, do I actually have time to do this? Some people say, I'm too busy. I don't feel like I have time to be a host. But then you might recognize, if I use my time differently, I can increase my income. So many people think, if you're thinking about becoming a host, here's some things that people say. I got to greet everybody personally. I got to respond to every message, because, you know, if you're on the receiving end as a guest being an Airbnb, you get a lot of messages, but a lot of it is automated. So on the other end, if you're going to be a host, you might think, I got to sit here and respond to messages, and I have to personally clean. So one of the keys is you can use automation to save time. One thing that we've done is there's something called Hostfully. So Hostfully, you can actually create one automated guidebook that you can use as a link. And you put this guidebook together. So in Philadelphia, the Ridge, a lot of people that come to the Ridge, they're millennials. And so my son, Chris, actually put the guidebook together for things that millennials like. Like, I don't go to bars, but in there, it shows you, you know, these are good bars. These are good hookah lounges, because they like to, you know, smoke all that hookah stuff. These are good places where you can get cheesesteaks. Here's where you can, you know, here's some good nightclubs. This is where the Rocky statue is. So all of these things, you can click on it and you can just go right to it, and it'll show you a little bit about it. It'll show you how to get there. Also in the virtual guidebook, it tells you about the building. You know, when you arrive, it gives you the house manual. This is how the washer and dryer works. This is where the pods are for the washer or for the dishwasher. This is how to, you know, change the thermostat. So all of this automated guidebook is very helpful, because it eliminates a whole lot of questions. All right. So sometimes you might have gone to a short-term rental and they have it, maybe it's a written guidebook and it's out on the nightstand or whatever. This is just more high tech, because it's a link, and it really helps. Like, somebody might have a question and we might say, please refer to the guidebook, it's there. So that just saves you a whole lot of time. Here's some other things. Having automated locks. So all the locks that we have are automated. When someone, well, here in our home, when someone is coming, everything is done by the last 4 digits of their phone number. But at the Ridge, it's like it generates it automatically. And so before the person comes, the lock knows If check-in is at 3, the lock is going to turn on at 3 o'clock, you'll be able to get in. If checkout is at 11, after 11 o'clock, if you try to get back in, it automatically erases it. So that helps because you don't have to unlock doors and all that kind of stuff. Here's some other ways that you can just help with automation. Even with your cleaners, if you have like multiple units, there's a app called Properly, and Properly is something that you can communicate with your cleaners. Cleaning is like vital. People get really upset, like if there's a hair, if there's a spot, and so your cleaning is vital, and it's just important to be able to communicate with your cleaners. So Properly is something, also Slack. All of these things are automated automation tools. And also there are apps. So in Airbnb, you can do some of the things I'm saying with the automation, but if you have multiple units, there are apps like Hospitable or Guesty. These are channel managers, and they will integrate with a lot of different channels. So say if you have Airbnb and Booking.com and Vrbo, if you don't have a channel manager, somebody could have booked on Airbnb and someone could have booked the same dates on Vrbo, and you're going back and forth. But the channel manager, they manage all that for you. So they're able to sync the calendars. So again, these are things that can help with automation, and these are things that we use. So here's some other questions that you might have. You might say, well, if I decide to pursue short-term rentals, who can help guide me? Some other questions that people might have: I've never managed a rental property. Or if you have managed a rental property, can I earn as much or more in short-term rentals as I can with the long-term tenant? And I'm telling you, yes, you can, because we have both. And so you can reach here's another key: you can reach your destination quicker with less mistakes using a roadmap and a guide. And so again, this is a system that I set up called BNB STARS, how to set up, automate, and succeed as a short-term rental host. And I know many people, that are in this webinar, you've been thinking about it, kind of kicking around the idea, not quite sure if it's going to work for you. I would love to be able to work alongside of you as your coach, because as you can tell, I'm very passionate about it. It enabled me to I love being a teacher, but it enabled me to have the option if I wanted to walk away. And I did want to walk away from the bad middle school students. So I did walk away. And so using this system, I can provide a clear roadmap and accountability. This young lady, her name is Lavinia. She and her husband, they were some of my first BNB STARS students. They started in February. And so when they started, the husband said to me, because they had, at that time, their son was 3 months old. The husband said to me, look, this is an idea that my wife has. And she says that, she wants to do this. She wants to stay home. She doesn't want to, she wants to be a stay-at-home mom. She doesn't want to go back in the workforce. And he told me, I'm going to pay for this course for her. And if you can help my wife to be successful, she can stay home. And guess what? I helped her to be successful. And so their very first host payout was actually $5,600, of which they kept a little over $4,000. Their first guest rented for 40 nights. They actually put something up, and one of their first potential guests, it would have been $11,000, because he was coming from another state and he had to stay someplace for like 6 months, but they weren't ready. But anyway, that's not a bad start. Like your very first guest is like $4,400. That's not bad. Okay. You can't hear that. If you can't hear it, you probably can't. Never mind. All right. So I just want to recap. Once you know your location, you can start in your own place or someone else's place. And also knowing your location, you need to be able to know what the regulations are before you start anything. You can use automation to save time. And you can reach your destination quicker with less mistakes using a roadmap and a guide. And so what I want to do, I want to just stop sharing just for a minute. And I just want to hear what you heard. I just want to kind of process what you heard so I can know, what you got out of what I said very briefly. I'm gonna unmute everybody. No, I won't unmute. You can unmute yourself. I won't unmute everybody.
Well, I think it was good to hear about the different ways you can do the short-term rentals, because if you decide, well, I have a home, but you're right, I might decide that I don't necessarily want someone staying with me. So that if I wanted to look at some other places that I could rent and that they could stay in, that's part of an income stream as well.
That's true. But I will say this, if you just have one extra bedroom and you set your ground rules in terms of who comes in, when they come in, if you just have one extra bedroom before you even spend extra money going outside of your home, just try it just with one. And I'll show you how to make it work. I'll show you how to make it work. Just try it. Just be open. Be open.
Well, but I have an open floor plan though. I don't have entrance. So I mean, I truly have a home built back in the 60s where all the rooms, there's access to every room, basically.
I got you. Okay.
I don't have like a basement apartment like they might have in DC or something like that. Yeah.
I got you.
But it's worth thinking about too, though.
Yes, it is. Thank you for sharing, Tracy. Anybody else? What did you hear? What did you get from it? Or any questions you may have, because we're almost at the end. I just want to hear your feedback.
Pam, here's what I heard loud and clear is that I'm already busy, my plate's already full, but with the automation tools and features, like other people can do the stuff that you don't necessarily have time for, but you can still reap the benefits.
Absolutely. And may I say this, Dr. Clark, your kids can, our adult kids can run circles around us, honestly, when it comes to automation and stuff like that. Right. So even, just thinking about that in terms of, we can talk offline about that, but that helps a lot. And the main thing for you, because your house is at the shore, is making sure that you have your team in place for cleanings. And again, that's something we can look at. There are places where you can go and you can actually hire a cleaning company. So yeah, that's important because you're not running back and forth to the shore from where you are.
No, not as often as I'd like. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Who else? What else did you hear? Anybody? Nobody else?
I was listening to just the short-term rentals and how you can use your own home if you have a spare bedroom or two and make money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know you work so hard as a teacher. I've seen some of your posts and just having a stress reliever. Like, you're not going to leave your job tomorrow, but just having a couple, extra 1,000, 2,000, depending on how you structure it, that takes a weight off of you. It really does. Yeah. Yeah. Cassandra, what did you thank you, Tanya.
I got out of it. You said kind of focus on an area.
Yes.
Zip code, a certain area, and just kind of stay in that area and focus on who, I guess, the people who live in that area, or if it's a college, or if it's, that's going to help you get your business.
Absolutely. And that brings up a good point, which I didn't really talk about. When you focus on a particular area, you're looking, of course, at that area because you're looking on whatever, Facebook Marketplace or whatever you're looking on, whether you're going to rent it or buy it. But you also want to look at what are the attractions in the area. Like here in our home, we're close to the airport, and we're also close to like colleges and universities, hospitals, and we're also close to there's a lot of the film industry is all around. So like the Tyler Perry studio and other places, Trilla studio. So we attract a lot of different places. In Philly, that one that attracts millennials, they like to go to the art museum. They like to go to the restaurant. They like to go to Center City, sporting events. So wherever it is that you're close to, even when you're thinking about doing a short-term rental, what are the attractions in the area? And actually, who is your target? Because if you are thinking about setting things up like for families, for example, with the shore, you know, for families, there might be a family that wants to rent that home. And Verbo, honestly, is a very good option for you, Dr. Clark. And in that home, if it's families, you might want to even have games for kids. You might want to have like a toddler bed, you know, but someone else is closer to like a university, how you're going to market it and how you're going to furnish it is going to be different. So thank you for, you know, just bringing that up, Cassandra. Yeah.
I also like the idea, because when I was in Airbnb in England, they didn't have the automated guide. I
A lot of
that's,
people don't. Yeah, a lot of people don't.
oh, okay, because I think, oh, that's really brilliant. It's like, because they had just a stack of like pamphlets of things in that area. They just had it on the desk. But if you can go online, you're gonna, to me, is a lot more accessible.
Yeah.
To, you know, looking at those things. So I like that
Yes.
idea. And I never noticed it when I'm on the Airbnb thing where that is.
No, you
Or-
won't. Not until you become a guest. So it's not,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
until you become a guest, then that's when it opens up, you know, things. But we are just like my kids, they are very techie. And so anything that can help save time as well as save the environment, like we're not printing all that stuff out, because a lot of times people don't look at stuff anyway. So, you know, having a link that just helps, because somebody can they can be on their phone, click on it. Oh, okay, that's how, whatever. So,
and so next week we'll be in an Airbnb in Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh.
So I'm going to look for that.
They may not have it. Everybody doesn't have it, but
okay.
Yeah. Anybody else? Tracy, you talking? Oh no, she's talking to
myself. Okay. So I had a question though, because I'm wondering, like, I know you mentioned there are apps, and if you decide to be a host, there's some services that you have to line up. But what do you obtain with Airbnb though? Do they provide
Airbnb? Yes, they do. Airbnb has a whole platform. And so if you're only going to do like one unit or one house, you don't need all of that extra. You don't need hospitable guest seat. You don't need all that, because you would actually be spending money that you don't need. The only time that I would suggest if you need a channel manager is if you have multiples like we do, or you have them in different locations, or you're on multiple channels. So if you're doing Verbo and Airbnb, you definitely need a channel manager. Otherwise, you're going to be scrambling. Oh, somebody just booked here. Oh, I got to block it over here. So that's, you know, but if you are using cleaners, you definitely want to have an app, because we communicated everything on an app. And actually, my daughter has her own cleaning company, but we still communicate it on the app because it's just easier. Okay, I'm going to start sharing my screen again real quick.
So what does Airbnb provide though? You just get their
okay,
advertise it?
So Airbnb is a whole platform. You know how when you go on as a guest and you see certain things,
right?
When you become a host, you can see things from the guest perspective and your perspective. So as a host, you can set up your automation, like all of your automated messaging. You can set up, there are so many things that you're going to set up. You'll set up your pricing. You'll set up like your instant, can people instant book? You'll set up your calendar. They have all of that there. You don't really have to go out and get like extra apps. Okay. But again, the larger you get, you need the extra apps, because you don't want to make a second job for yourself. But those are good questions.
And those are for a fee. Airbnb would charge a fee as well.
That's a good question. Airbnb, Verbo, Booking.com, they have a fee structure that's different than like Furnish Finders. Furnish Finders, we only paid $99, and we're on there and we find each other, like the guests and us, we find each other. These other Airbnb, Verbo, Booking.com, they take a percentage out. So like Airbnb, they have a percentage, like their, I don't know what you want to call it, but for the ability to be on their app. They have a percentage that's taken off, but then they also pay your taxes. So they'll pay your local taxes, and that is a benefit. On another app, I don't know if they pay the local taxes, but I know Airbnb, they just extract it out and they pay it on your behalf. So, and you're also paying for like the advertisement, like just having the right to be on there. But I will say this, I'm gonna just be straight up honest. Airbnb is there for the guests. They're not there for us, because there are times when we have bent over backwards and Airbnb is gonna side with the guests. I'm gonna just be straight up honest. So there are things that, like in the course, I'm gonna show y'all some stuff, because you don't want to get caught. It can kind of get messy. I'm gonna share some stories too, about how things can go. Okay, so we talked about what some of the things you got. And so I'm asking you, if I were able to provide the roadmap that I use and provide 6 weeks of live coaching, would that make a difference? And I'm, showing you the first 5 days we made 1,300, and the first 2 months in 2022 we made 72,000. And so we are actually holding another live course that will start next Wednesday, June the 22nd. And so you'll be able to learn in an engaging environment with other participants. Your investment in the course provides you with the ability to ask questions in real time. And why is that important? Because my husband and I have spent thousands, like 5 figures worth of thousands of dollars going to different trainings, not just about this, because this is new for us, but in entrepreneurship and so forth. And so the trainings that are live where, we get to talk to someone is great, but we spent a lot of money even on pre-packaged courses. And once you buy that package, you don't get to talk to anyone, or sometimes the stuff is outdated because the Airbnb short-term rentals are like constantly changing. So when you invest in this course, you're able to ask questions just like we're doing here. You'll have the access to all the videos, the websites, the templates, and ongoing course updates. So once you come into BNB STARS, whatever comes in the future, you have access to that. And so again, the 6 weeks of live coaching starts on next Monday, the 22nd, and it runs through July 27th. You get help setting up your automated systems. You get tips on finding and furnishing your properties. And like I said, lifetime updates to the course. And you're part of a growing community of short-term hosts. And so the listed price is $1,597. But your price is $1,050, or it's 2 payments of $525. And so far, this is actually this will be my 3rd course that I'm providing. And I've had a lot of success with those who have been in the course so far. Some have actually gotten their short-term rental off the ground, some are on the verge of it, but everyone finds that it's very helpful, because if you're trying to do it by yourself, it's tough. Or if you're trying to go on YouTube and figure out all these different gurus, people have different, styles, or you're going to have conflicting information. Here you can come to one source and get the information you need. So this, as we conclude, here are the next steps. I'm going to send an email. And this is going to be the replay of this masterclass. You'll be able to see the replay of the masterclass. I'm also going to send a course registration link. If you would like to register, you can register. You can, do it for the entire amount now up front, or you can start with the $525 payment now, and then the rest will be due, I think, 2 or 3 weeks from now. And, or if you want an opportunity to book a follow-up call with me, you can do that, because you may have some questions. You may say, well, I'm considering the course, but, I have some questions about this. I have some questions about that. So there's a link that actually has a calendar, and you can click on it and book a call with me for 15 minutes, and we can kind of talk further. So that is, I did an hour. Just wanted to share the possibilities and kind of hear from you. But before we conclude, I just want to know, are there any other questions or anything that you would like to discuss before we log off? Will I help with the LLC? in the course, we talk about the importance of the LLC, and I outlined the steps, like this is what you need to do, step 1, step 2, step 3. And so there are people who are actually finishing up this second course. They actually finished on Monday, but then they're going to come through a second time around. And so 2 of them actually started their LLCs and so forth. And I talk about trademark and all that. So yes, I won't help you directly. What I do is I provide the information, but I always tell people, based on your determination, based on how you use the information, is going to determine if you're successful. So all I can do is provide it. Like those of us who are teachers, Tanya, you know, Dr. Clark, you know, when you're teaching, you can be teaching the same information to an entire class, and some people are going to excel, some people are going to kind of lag behind. So the information is there, and it's very concrete. It's very, it's all, I lay it out there for you, and then it's up to you whether you're going to take it and succeed. But I want you to succeed. I'm pushing people along, and some people are like, I'm not ready. I'm still pushing you all along because I want you to start making this money. So, just wanted to open up again. If you have any questions, or if you wanted to just talk to me privately, when I send the link, you'll be able to book a call with me. But is there anything that anyone wants to share before we log off?
Can
No,
we
I just
Google which states you need a license for and which ones you do not?
It's so broad. You just pick where you want to be. So if you're going to be in Philly, I know what the laws are in Philly, but yeah, I have a whole template on that. I can send it to you. Philly is something else, man. Yeah, Philly is something else. What they did was they restricted everything except for people in a CMX, which is a commercial zone, CMX 3, 4, or 5, or you have to have it in your home. So I actually have a friend. She has a duplex in Philly. She lives on the top floor, and she has her short-term rental on the bottom floor, and it's been working out beautifully. It's been wonderful. So this is crazy in Philly. So she went to get the license, and they're like, well, you live in the top floor, so you would have to have your Airbnb or your short-term rental on the top floor. She said, that's where I live. I own the building. I have this short-term rental in the bottom floor. Well, no, you can't do that. So now she has to get a variance. That's great. And different people in Philly are telling you different things because it's so new. It's implemented July 1st. And different people are telling you different things. It's crazy. But if you have it in your home in Philly, you can do it in Philly. You still got to get it's called a limited lodging license. Yeah, I know about it. Yeah. Crazy.
I just wonder too about, that makes me think also about neighborhood associations, because, I know here in Virginia, Richmond, we have neighborhood associations, and sometimes, they may have their feelings or thoughts about what they perceive that short-term rental will bring to the community.
Yeah. So here's the deal. If you don't have an HOA, which has bylaws, the neighborhood association may have recommendations, but they can't, like the HOA is something that pulls everyone together, but your neighborhood association can't determine that. It's determined by your municipality. Yeah. So, and there are some people who have negative, I guess, thoughts about short-term rentals, and there have been, I know here in Atlanta, there have been places where, like, there's a place called Buckhead, which is exclusive, and people were renting out, like a swanky apartment and having parties, and that's kind of some of the problem, how they started shutting things down. But as a whole, it's not that way. Like, we've met some wonderful people. We've enabled people to come and stay that needed a place. So, I guess the perception is in the eye of the beholder. Yeah. So somebody else was going to say something. I don't know who it was, but okay. Well, if not, I have enjoyed interacting with all of you. I didn't get a chance to hear from Anastasia. I know you had gotten on a little later, and someone else. It says Zoom user. Is there anything you want to say? Introduce yourself, or?
Hi, good evening. This is Catrice. I'm Tanya's and Anastasia girlfriend. So I do appreciate the information you provided. It was very beneficial because honestly, Tanya gave me this information about your course, your class here. I wasn't even thinking about Airbnb, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I have a couple properties, rentals, but Airbnb is
Ah.
like, I didn't know anything about it. So.
Yeah. So you currently have some rental properties there in Philadelphia.
Yes, ma'am, in the Northeast and then Torresdale.
In Torresdale. Yeah.
Mhm.
Those properties are probably not in the CMX 3, 4, 5. Like prior to Philly changing its laws, you might have been able to have something in there, but until they straighten stuff out, yeah, it's going to be more challenging.
Oh, so it's only certain areas of Philly that you can have the Airbnb?
CMX 3, 4, and 5. So those are
Oh.
commercial areas. And I think they did it on purpose. So guess what? It's Chinatown, it's Center City, it's only certain areas, or you can have it in your home. And I think eventually things are going to change a little bit because a lot of people are getting out of Airbnb in Philly because of the licensing stuff going on. And the city of Philadelphia is going to miss the revenue that comes in because Airbnb, like they collect the taxes and then they send it to the city of Philadelphia. So I think it might kind of shift because I think they went overboard. They went overboard in trying to regulate and they made it too stringent. So yeah. So in the course, there are people from different places. So I don't necessarily get into specifics about different municipalities because I don't even know about all municipalities. I do know Philly, I know Atlanta, but I'm just sharing with you because there are a lot of people here from Philly, some of the things that have happened, some of the changes that have happened. If you do have one in your home, it's fine. Or if it's in a CMX 345, it's fine. So that's kind of where it is for now. Tanya, you should see your face. So I'm going to end this call unless there's anyone that wants to say anything else. And like I said, in about 40 minutes, you're going to get an email that has the link so you can go back and look at this. If you want to register for the course, which I hope you do, it starts next Wednesday, or if you want to book a call with me. But I have really enjoyed interacting with all of you. And I look forward to seeing y'all in the class. I want y'all to start making this money. It is fun. I'm enjoying myself. All right. So everyone have a great evening and I'll talk to you later. I'm believing God, I'm gonna see y'all in the class. Take care.
Thanks, Pam. Thank
Okay.
you.
Care
All right.
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.